everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. I know it's been a while, and I just wanted to jump on here just for a brief because, of course, I've always got something to share. So you guys are like my diary at this point. But I joined a Reddit group, and it is a Reddit group called Raised by Narcissists, and somebody had posted something on Reddit that definitely stood out to me, and I kind of wanted to talk about it brief because this is something that I actually spoke about this recently in therapy. I'm currently in EMDR therapy, and it's been amazing. I recommend anybody who has experienced trauma, if you're someone who suffers from any form of PTSD, complex PTSD, EMDR is definitely good therapy to help you kind of process emotions and kind of reprocess emotions and trauma that you've experienced. But I'm going to read this Reddit post. I still haven't learned how to do the whole TikTok thing where the Reddit post is behind you and you can read it from there. I'm not tech savvy just yet. I'm gonna, I will get there, but I'm just gonna read it because I had took a screenshot of it and I sent it to me to email. But the Reddit post the person asks, do you feel you would have done better academically if you weren't so occupied struggling to survive at home? And then they went to explain their situation. They said, besides the obvious ways they ruined my future, not letting me take the courses I wanted by speaking to my teachers for me in high school, not allowing me to learn how to drive or work or own my own medical cards, manage my own finances, etc. Does anyone else believe that they would have done much better academically at school if they weren't so occupied trying to survive home? Did anyone else parents actively try and prevent them from succeeding in school, work? For an example, they put examples that their narcissistic parents did to them, destroying your projects, not allowing you to study or do homework. If they did, they constantly interrupt you with questions or micro task insults or played loud music or TV shows. And at work, did they actively try to make your resume worse or not help you write them or teach you about money, allow you, let me see here, allow you to know what their jobs were or how much they made or prepare you for taxes and call your bosses or managers and actively make you lose your job, destroying your uniform or shoes, etc. So when I read this post, I was just like, oh my God. First, I was just like, I felt what the whoever posted this was saying, because I definitely could resonate everything because I was just actually venting to what not venting, but opening up to my therapist about this, because I've experienced that with my mom growing up. Um, you know, my mom was someone who she dropped out of high school and she went back to college in her 40s, which is amazing, right? Dropping out, and then she went back to school and she ended up getting her bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And of course, at that time, I was super proud, supportive. We went to her graduation. When she had to come home and study, I made sure that I wasn't too loud or I didn't interrupt her studies. I think at that time, I was either graduating from high school or also just getting into college myself. I can't remember exact timeline. But fast forward to when I started college, she kind of made my life hell. My mom would purposely pick fights with me before I went to school or had to go to school. I remember one day I was on my way to college to my classes because I had to take a final. And she knew I had to take a final because I was studying and all this stuff, because math is not my best subject. And I remember right when I was about to leave out the door, she came up to me and was just like, "Oh my God, you are gaining so much weight. You need to watch your weight." And then I looked at her and she had this like very sadistic look on her face. And it was like she was just purposely trying to get under my skin and just like, insult me. And I was just like, why would you say that to me? Like, why would you, say something like that so hurtful? And I remember being extremely upset and we got into an argument right before. And I remember just bursting out in tears and just like, confused. And I remember having to like take all of that emotion with me to school to take a test right before I was supposed to take my test. I remember that I would purposely schedule all of my classes, and I used to have like gaps. I was a full time college student, by the way. I was a full time college student and I was working part time. And I would purposely schedule my classes so I would have like 2 hour gaps in between. That way I would be at school the whole entire day because I didn't like going home. Usually in college, everybody usually want the early classes. That way they can get their classes going and then come home. Nope, not me. I wanted to schedule classes so I didn't have to come home. And when I was in school, it was just when I was in college, it was just extremely the experience was terrible. um, my mom, like I think I explained in previous videos, she would be eager for my financial aid money. She would always want my book money. Every time that time of the semester came around when it was time for me to get money, we would always get into arguments because she always wanted to know when my money was coming, when my money was coming. And it came to the point where I felt like I was going to school just to give her money and not for my own education. Like she sucked the whole entire experience from me. I remember she would kick me out the house right before she would kick me out the house the day before I had classes. I would come home, she'll find an argument or something to complain about, and then she would kick me out the house. And I would be bouncing back and forth from either like a friend's house or to my sister's house, back and forth when I had to go to school and go to work the next day. And it was extremely exhausting because even though I had gaps in between classes, I had so much anxiety that I wasn't even like in between those gaps. I wasn't even getting work done. I was sleeping. One, because I was exhausted. I was mentally, emotionally exhausted. So I didn't even have the mental capacity to even focus on my studies and focus on my finances. I was back and forth to financial aid office trying to take out loans because she was purposely not paying the rent because she was waiting for me to give her money from school. And there were some semesters that I wasn't even getting any money back. So I'd had to go to the loan office and take out student loans so I can give her money so she wouldn't, find ways to like, find a reason to kick me out the house. But yeah, I can definitely relate. I can definitely relate to that. I even broke down with my therapist because I didn't finish my degree. I ended up once I left my mom's house completely, I didn't go back to college. I was just like mentally exhausted, just I couldn't even do it anymore. So I stopped going to school. And the person from Reddit, what else did they say? Now my mom never really called my job or speak to bosses to get me fired, but I know when I first started therapy back then, she reached out to my therapist and was trying to get my therapist to tell her what we were talking about in sessions. And I remember one day my therapist at the time emailed me and was like, "Your mom has called my office and harassed me. She said that my mom called out her name and wanted to speak to her supervisor because she wanted to know what we were speaking about in my therapy sessions." And which is extremely insane because this is a space for me to, um, talk about my issues. But I think underlying, she knew it was that guilt. From what I think about it now, I definitely think she had that guilt. But she definitely tried to sabotage that situation. Um, but between me and my therapist. Now, in regards to finances, taxes, I mean, my mom was in when tax season came. She used to skip her butt right to that tax office. I used to give my mom hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And at that time, I was like, what, 18, 19? I was working at Macy's. I wasn't even making like $10 an hour. I was making like, what, maybe $8, $9 an hour. And I needed that money, one, to get to and from my work, lunch money, commute, and anything I had left over, because I was somebody who's always been working since I was like, what, 16, 17. So um, even as an only child, I was never like raised to be spoiled or anything like that. I always had to kind of provide for myself, or anything that I want, I had to survive. But it definitely was a struggle during my college years, because I was not really able to kind of achieve the way that I wanted to, because I was surviving. I was being kicked out of the house every other day. I was being cursed at every other day. And, she had her safe space for her to achieve her goal of going back to college and getting her bachelor degree. But I wasn't given that same grace and support. I wasn't given that same grace and support, because I was too busy just trying to make it through the next day, and make at least show up to school. So I can definitely relate to the whoever wrote this Reddit, especially finances. I mean, when it came down to medical cards, GYN, all of those things, I definitely had to learn on my own. From other women friends that I have, filing taxes, finances. Shoot, I'm 30, and that's this is something that I'm still, learning due to finances, because yes, I was not taught how to manage finances. I was not taught how to open up a credit card. I wasn't even taught the importance of credit, or anything like that, because I was too busy being taken advantage of to even get that knowledge. Um, to know about finances and credit. But that is something that I am learning on my own. And all of this to say, I did speak about this with my therapist, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And, did cry about it, because, you think about back, in your 20s, and so much time has went on, and you think, oh my God, I feel like, everything was wasted, but it wasn't. I'm here now, 30, doing my own thing, being a grown woman, teaching myself, reparenting myself, taking control back of my life, and it feels great. Is it hard? Absolutely. Is there resentment there? Sometimes, yes, the resentment is still there, but I definitely know how it feels to feel like, you know what, the achievements that I wanted to do, or the things that I wanted to learn, um, definitely was taken away from me. Because I even in college, I actually was accepted to an Ivy League school, and I didn't know it was an Ivy League college until my best friend, when she came down here to visit me, and I told her, yeah, I was accepted to a college upstate New York, and she was just like, girl, what? That's an Ivy League college. But I didn't end up going, because I was just so attached to my home situation and my mom, and that fear, of just leaving, or she's not going to let me leave, that I didn't even take an opportunity to go away to college, which was something that I always wanted to do, was to go away to college. I remember I used to watch The Different World and all these shows, and just, can't wait until it's my time to experience going away to college, but I never had those experiences. But I know now I'm able to create any dream that I have, and experiences that I want to, and just taking my life back. But if you are someone who's experienced this, even if it's not from like a narcissistic parent or a toxic parent, or any toxic relationship, and you feel like your time was wasted or taken from you, it's not. you know Heal. You get to decide your path. um you get to decide who you are, and it's never too late to do the things that you want to do. It's never too late to go back to school. It's never too late to travel. It's never too late to start that business. Whatever the thing is, it's never too late to start that pottery class. I don't know what it is, but don't let your past, or what you experience, or that parasite, try to prevent you from doing that. You can still do it. And yeah, I just wanted to come here, and I wanted to share this post. I hope everybody is doing well. Also, I do have an ebook, and it's called Shades of Beauty, Affirmations for Black Women, and it is free. You can find that on my YouTube channel, Community Wall, and it's a free affirmations for those who just need some motivation and empowerment. Because I know the healing process, journey, just life overall itself can definitely have its moments. So if you are interested, get your copy of Positive Affirmation so you can practice daily. And I hope everybody is having a good day and you guys also have a good weekend. Bye.